Money is the answer for everything. That's actually in the Bible. It's Ecclesiastes 10:19, word for word in most translations. I've seen this verse used constantly to justify chasing wealth. People use it to shrug off financial ethics, even in sermons. Like, hey, the Bible itself says money answers everything. Except that's not what this verse is teaching. When read in context, it's actually saying almost the opposite. Before we get to the verse itself, we need to know what Ecclesiastes actually is. The author calls himself Koheleth in Hebrew. It's usually translated the teacher or the preacher. Tradition attributes the book to Solomon. Solomon was the wisest and wealthiest king Israel ever had, so if anyone had the standing to talk about money, it was him. The whole book is essentially an investigation. The preacher tests wisdom, pleasure, work, and wealth, trying to find out what actually gives life lasting meaning. His verdict repeats over and over. Hevel. It's usually translated vanity or meaningless, but it more literally means vapor or breath. It looks like you're holding something, but you're not. So before we even get to verse 19, understand this. Ecclesiastes isn't in the business of endorsing the things it describes. A lot of the book lays out common human reasoning first, then challenges or corrects it. Now here's Ecclesiastes 10:19. A feast is made for laughter, wine makes life merry, and money is the answer for everything. These are three parallel statements. A feast brings joy, wine makes things feel lighter, money answers everything. On the surface, this reads like a casual observation about how the wealthy live. They feast constantly, they drink plenty of wine, and face no problems because money solves everything. And honestly, as an observation, that's accurate. But the real question is this: is the preacher telling us we should live that way? We need to look at the whole of chapter 10, and not just this one verse in isolation. Right before verse 19, the chapter is full of warnings about foolishness. It warns against undisciplined rulers and people who make bad decisions even when they know better. Verses 16 and 17 contrast two nations. One nation's ruler is immature and feasts in the morning. The other nation's ruler is noble and eats at the right time for strength rather than drunkenness. In other words, the whole chapter is about how people use their time, their power, and their money. They can do it wisely or they can do it foolishly. So when we reach verse 19, it isn't a sudden endorsement of wealth. It describes how the world thinks that a feast, wine, and money answer everything. The rest of the book sets this description up specifically so it can measure it against a wiser perspective. This is really the key. We can't read one verse in isolation from where the book actually lands. In Ecclesiastes 12:13 through 14, after exploring wealth, pleasure, wisdom, and work, the preacher gives his final verdict: fear God and keep his commandments, because this is the whole duty of humanity. God will judge every deed, including everything hidden, whether good or evil. So bring that back to verse 19. Money, feasting, and wine aren't the actual answer. They belong to the hevel, to vanity, to meaninglessness. They look like something solid in your hand, but they are not. According to the preacher himself, the real answer is fearing God and obeying Him. Now here's why this correction actually matters. I keep seeing this verse used to justify prosperity theology. The idea goes that if you have money, you don't need to worry about anything else because money is the answer to everything. But Ecclesiastes itself warns against exactly that idea first. Even Solomon, who held more wealth than anyone in Israel's history, concludes that all of it is vapor, uncertain, and meaningless apart from the fear of God. Money answers all things in verse 19 isn't a command. It isn't a promise. It's an honest, ironic observation about how someone thinks before they've learned the lesson the rest of this book teaches. So what does this actually look like in daily life? Here are 3 ways to put this teaching into practice. First, test what you run to when things go wrong. When a problem hits, notice your first instinct. Do you reach for God, or do you reach for a financial fix first and treat prayer as a backup plan? The preacher already tested that path and found it empty. Catching the instinct is the first step toward correcting it. Second, hold money as a tool, not a foundation. Ecclesiastes doesn't tell you money is evil or that working for it is wrong. It tells you money can't carry the weight of ultimate meaning. Use it, plan with it, work hard for it, but stop expecting it to answer questions only God can answer. That shift alone changes how you make decisions under financial pressure. Third, let this verse train how you read every other verse. The real skill Ecclesiastes 10:19 teaches isn't really about money. It's about reading scripture in context instead of pulling out single lines to defend whatever you already wanted to believe. Apply that same discipline the next time you hear a verse quoted to justify a decision, whether it's about money, relationship, or anything else. So next time you see a verse used as a standalone proof text, especially about money, remember this. The Bible isn't a collection of random quotable lines. Every book carries context, builds an argument, and reaches a destination. Ecclesiastes reaches a clear destination. It isn't money, feasting, or pleasure under the sun. It's fearing God and obeying Him. And that's the real answer to everything. Thank you for watching this video. If you found value in it, please like this video, drop a comment below, and if you find this channel worth subscribing, please do. It is very much appreciated. Also share this video so I can be of help to many soldiers of God already spreading the word to the world. I'll see you next time.